Hola! Hey guys, what am I, 2 minutes late? Sorry. Had to get coffee, had to settle Piper down. No, I'm kidding. Piper's always chill. Speaking of Piper, what? You gotta look right there.
Hello.
You wanna say hi really quick? Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
My ride or die. Okay, I love you.
Love you.
Say, let's sync some sound.
Let's sing some sound. Bye. See you at the end of the video.
Piper, everyone. So, hey guys, what we got here? Travis is in the house. Ahoy, hoy. Ahoy, hoy. My head getting cut off right there. Probably should have tilted the camera up a little. I can sit like this. Mike, hello. How are you, my friend? There's Steven. Hey, buddy. Clay Bob. Hey, welcome, Clay Bob. Jeffrey, hello. Johnny Gators. Johnny Gators. I hope that's not for the Gators, as in where I live, Florida Gators, is it? That's okay if it is. My sister graduated there. Cecil, hello, my good friend. How are you? We got a fun little thing going. I got so much stuff I want to go through. I don't know why. I don't know why I bring all this stuff out here, but I do, and I did. But I have a lot of things I want to mention and go over, including, but not limited to, a little project I'm currently working on. What is that? Oh, part of my eraser. A little project I'm currently working on with some. Nope. Gators is variation of my real. Oh, nice. All right, Johnny. But it would be okay if you're a Gator fan. Where's everybody from, by the way? Travis, I know where you're from. You're a Florida boy like me. Indiana, then Florida. But so we got. This is going to be kind of fun because this is something I've been wanting to touch on for a long time. Well, I do touch on it quite regularly. Now I do. Because it comes up all the time, especially in the 8mm or 16mm Facebook forums and just forums in general, internet forums, is people always asking about syncing sound, constantly asking about it, and then you get your barrage of experts that tell them it's impossible and you got to get the Boo U 6008 and whatever, but that's not true, and we all know that you don't have to spend thousands to get sync sound. And I'm going to show you why you do not. France, we come from France. Hey, there's Lyle. How are you, bud? Lyle from North Carolina. Lyle, what? NC? No, that's not North Carolina, is it, Lyle? Oh, you're from North Carolina, but you don't live there now, I don't think, do you? Live in Poland, that's right. See, I'm trying to catch up. Wichita, Kansas. I knew that, Mike. I just thought I'd ask anyway. South of Boston. South of Boston, Mass. I love the accents up there, the New England accents. Hey, Lawrence, how are you, buddy? Gordon. Come on, work with me. Waldoboro, Maine. I'm dying to get up to Maine at some point in my life. I've never been quite that far. I've been Pennsylvania, I've been in New York, up in Connecticut. Never been to Maine, though. Yes, Stephen, Charleston, South Carolina. From New Jersey, living in... A lot of New Englanders living in Massachusetts. All right, Johnny. Okay, something I want to cover. First and foremost, let me throw... Hey, Scorpio! Hey, Scorpio is here. We can start now. Scorpio's here. One thing I want to mention really quick, and Renee is here. East LA, Renee. Big shout out to Steven from New World Film. You see him there in the chat. I keep pointing over there. I have my laptop right there, as you can maybe or maybe can't see. But Steven from New World Film, he sleuthed and solved, he detectivized and solved our little equation, not an equation, last found film number 51. If you don't follow my found film series, you really should. We did a 16mm film, an old, really really old, cranky, greasy, nasty, fogged up 16 millimeter magazine film, you know, these little magazines. And it was really tough to see, and I couldn't figure it out. And guess who did? Where it was. Thank you, Steven. Thank you. He figured it out. I should have wrote everything down so I could fill you in, but you really should go back and check it out. Look in the comments, because Steven mentions where it's from, where it is. I believe, was it Arizona? It was pure luck. Well, it was a good job. So it was a resort that's still there by a different name now, and it was founded, I believe, like in the 30s, and then changed hands in the late 60s. But the film we have was still with the original owner. So it was the original resort, and it was really cool. They had apparently a whole bunch of cottages that you could stay at. Anyway, good job, Steven. Thank you so much for helping out. But it was a lot of fun. And he got it was a clock. I thought it was a logo, but there was a clock on the side of the building, and I believe it says "Where time stands still," just like on this channel. All right, what's going on? One more thing I want to mention, and he asked me to just mention, and I'm going to talk about it just for a second. Lyle, who's on here as well. You guys know Lyle. He's on here all the time. He's been a big supporter of this channel. Really cool guy. But he asked me to touch a little bit on the Aton A Minima and the film that Kodak has or had for that camera. And I'm not overly familiar with the A Minima camera. I mean, I've obviously heard of it. It's been around for 20, 25 years. But it takes a funky, and a lot of you probably already know this, but it takes a funky film load. They took 200-foot loads. The magazine sort of snapped onto the side of the camera. And as far as I know, it was one of the very few A-wind cameras. So the film was sort of backwards in the can. And when you got the film from Kodak, again, it came in 200-foot loads, which is this size right here. And it was loaded emulsion out, which is very unusual because, as we all know, B-load is EI film, or emulsion in, which is the standard for all of your 16mm roll films, your 400-foots and things like that. So it was a very funky little film that they released. The film was the same, but it was the loading and the A Minima was a tricky little loady camera. You pop the magazine off. There was a few steps. You had to pop the magazine off. You had to load one side, thread it through. Your take up was on the other side of the magazine, which, you know, that happens. There are some cameras that are like that, but this one was really weird, and it kind of snapped onto the side of the camera. But that was the A Minima camera, and again, you don't really use. You could use that film. You have to rewind it a little bit or reorient it. It's the same film, but it was in a different orientation. It came on a plastic reel, not metal, and it was actually a reel that you could take apart. You could turn it one way or the other, kind of like a Patterson tank, but you could actually take the reel, the spool. It was a daylight spool, plastic daylight spool, but you could take it apart. So that's what I know about the A Minima. I would actually like to have one. They're really funky and cool little cameras, not to be confused with or mistaken with or with the iconoscope A Cam. You guys remember that one? The A Cam, which was a really tiny little handheld camera. I think it was designed and built in Sweden in like the late 90s, early 2000s. That's another one I'd love to get my hands on, by the way. Didn't have a viewfinder, which was a little funky. It was Super 16, and it only took 100-foot loads, and it loaded kind of the same way as the A Minima, but you didn't detach anything. You just opened the side of the camera and you loaded it, and I think it went around, and the feed side was on the anyway. The A Cam was another really cool cam. They later on went on and created the A Cam 2 or A Cam D2 or something like that, and it was a digital camera, and it took beautiful images, by the way. But those are kind of long gone. But anyway, Lyle, that's what I got for you right there. I'm gonna check something real quick, guys. Hang on one sec. Okay, sync sound. That's what that's what I'm truly interested in, and I'll tell you why. Because I am. Because I just am. Because I love narrative work. Now, I do a lot of experimenting with film, tons, as you guys know. You've seen my channel for a couple, 3 years. And basically all I do is just have fun and experiment with film that is beyond its freshness date. We don't call it expired here. We call it well beyond its freshness date. And that's what I do. I experiment with it. I film my kids and my family and our little adventures and the dogs and, you know, just things that I kind of want to keep around, and I show them to you. But what I truly have a passion for is narrative work. I've been involved in lots and lots of narrative short films in my life, never a full feature film. We're actually talking about it now, a totally different side project. But narrative film has always been my passion for as long as I can remember. I was about that big. And the only way to truly do narrative film, you know, aside from just visual art and some sort of a narrative theme, is with sound, you know, talkies. Talkies. We're in the 2020s now. People talk. Well, maybe they don't. They stare at phones. But in the world of narrative film, they talk. And in order to achieve talking on film, you have to kind of sync your picture and your audio together. So it's always fascinated me that the ways that you can do it. I bought a working Super 8 camera. Oh, yes! I gotta tell you, that's a feat all in itself. A working Super 8 camera. Not been shipped yet, but paid under 20 bucks. Hopefully it goes well. If not, you know, that's a good point. Speaking of a prop, I'm going to tell you guys something in a second. Zombie film. Yes. Yes, well past its freshness date. Travis likes to call it the zombie film. Jeffrey. Did I show you guys this already? This is a Bell & Howell Filmo-121. I can't remember if I showed you this on a previous live stream or not. I've not done a video on this camera, and for good reason. But I bought this on eBay at a really good price, half of what the seller was asking for it. It's in stunning condition for a camera that's, you know, 80 years old. And it worked. This, by the way, none of this is the fault of the seller, and I'll tell you in a second. So he advertised it as a working camera. I contacted him. I mentioned that I have this channel. I gave him the channel name and everything. And we struck a deal. He gave it to me for half of what he was asking. 60 bucks is what I got it for. In this condition. I probably would have never paid that for a camera that wasn't in this good of a condition, but it did run and everything, so I figured, okay, we'll give it a shot. So I did that, and I got it, and it was packed very well, and I cranked it, and I clicked it, and it ran. But I ran it just for a couple minutes. I did it at a slower speed, at 16 frames per second, because even though I really don't think it hurts cameras like people say it does when you run them without film, I did run it at 16, and then I ran it a couple times, and then I heard, you know that sound. And then it stopped working. So really, like I say, it wasn't the seller's fault. We had a deal. I told him if it ends up not working, then I got a really cool shelf piece and a nice little lens too. So it ended up not working. I took the front of the camera apart, and there were pieces and parts falling out and breaking and bending. So again, this one doesn't work anymore. But the thing about this camera is it takes the funkiest little cartridge you guys have ever seen, or the funkiest little cartridge you guys have probably never seen. So I actually had a cartridge of film for it. I'm getting back to sync sound, I promise. But the camera didn't run, so I wasn't going to be able to test it. So I picked this up. Have you guys ever seen one of these? It's called a Simplex Pocket 16mm magazine camera. Nope. Not magazine like this. Nope, not magazine like what goes on my Airy or my CP. Not this. But magazine called Pocket the Packet. This is called 16mm packet film. right there. And I bought this brand new sealed, this packet, past its freshness date of March of 1948. 1948. My dad was 2. I was really intrigued by this because I've been doing film, I've been shooting film for over 35 years, and I've never heard of the packet. So, and I know kind of now why it never really made it, because I did a lot of experimenting, and it's weird. It's weird. Well, let me show you, and this camera is a little hit and miss here too. These cameras were marketed many, many moons ago. I want to say in the 30s. Pop the back, and it's got a little metal strap here in the back. I don't know if you guys can quite see that. Let me pull it a little. See the little strappy strap? I'm trying to do it where you guys can see it. It's a kind of a springy boing, boing, boing. And that's what you pull with, and you pull your film out. And it also, I think, keeps it snug in there when you close your door, because there's a little bump on the inside of the door that presses on that spring, and it keeps it nice and snug in there. Now, they've advertised that, much like this, when you take it out, you only lose 1 frame of film, which is true, because it's only going to expose that frame right there. But let me show you, this is the 2 magazines together. See the difference? They're similar, but this one is tiny. This is 50 feet, this is 50 feet. Tell me, have you guys ever seen that before? Because I haven't. And if you have, then you are way more in the loop than I am. So I tried shooting this film, this film right here, Super X, which is a black and white film, and I should have shown you the pictures, but that's for a different video. I'm going to show you what the film looked like. But I was able to take this cartridge apart, and I was able to reload it with some brand spanking old film, and I couldn't get the camera to catch right and this and that, but I finally did, and this is not fully shot yet, but look out for this. I don't know how, you know me, I stray, but I wanted you guys to look out for this, because this video is going to be fun. This is coming, I promise you, as long as I can get this camera to shoot this film properly. But there's a little gear right here in the inside of the camera. I'll show you guys when we do that video. Pop that in, close it. Look at this viewfinder. It's a tiny little wire frame, and then the back that you look through is just a little metal flap. And you just line it up, parallax style. Pull the side. There it is, running. I don't want to burn all the film up, but I do want to show you really quick, and then we're going to get on to the main event. I want to show you really quick what I loaded it with. This is a very old Tri-X, probably from the early 70s, something like that. I'm kind of a little excited about this. I initially I was going to load it with this, which is also an old Tri-X. Doesn't have a Best Buy date, but this is an old Tri-X right here. Hey, Hubert. So I go in my dark room, I pop this open, and I open the film in there, and I take the little white paper, or the black paper off the edge, and I start unwinding it, and I can feel the fishtail at the end of the film. I have the clipping somewhere, but I don't have it right here. But when you get to the tail of a film, of one of these films, a lot of these older ones, it was cut kind of at a V. So you knew the head of the film looked like the front of a fish. It was like this, and the tail was an inverted V, like this. While we were on the tail, so I think this might be found film. I don't know. But when I sealed it back up, because none of it got exposed by me, and I closed, it wasn't sealed, by the way. It was open when I got it. The can did have its tape. Oh, here it is. I put it on the... Oh, and it says EXP on the film. So this is what you would see at the end of a roll of film. Can you guys see? Let me put it against my face there. See how it's like a fishtail? That means you're at the end of the film. And it does say EXP, which is exposed. So then I closed it back up, and then on each of the tabs, someone had put an E, maybe for exposed. So we're going to try to process that. I'm going to take a little, maybe a 1 foot section, put it in my little Patterson my little tank that I made for 16mm film. We're going to see what we get. Okay, anyway, I know. You know, I know. You know and I know I ramble. Once tried to develop Super 8 reversal in Caffenol. Hubert, yes. I've done Caffenol quite a bit, and I love Caffenol. Works great. I don't know if I've ever tried it in reversal. Did it not work? Wonder if normal beer will develop film. I have to try. Well, there have been people that have used beer to develop, yes. Remember the Super 8 beer that Dogfish Head was selling 3 years ago? Apparently you could develop film in it. Develop and drink. That's a new spin on it. Not Dungeons and Dragons. Develop and drink. Yes. Be careful with your developing if you're drinking a developer as well. No, do not drink your developer unless you're using beer. I still have some of the Dogfish Head beer. Yep, it still develops film, but it tastes awful. Awful. I don't drink a lot of beer. I don't know if I've had a beer this year yet. I just don't drink very rarely. Anyway, I'm wired enough. Orwo. How do you like that Orwo film? I don't know if I've ever used Orwo or not. Probably shot a roll or two, but I've heard a lot of good things and a lot of bad things about it. I know their new color film people are not digging at all. Like disposable film after perforation. Yeah, okay, so it's real thin, I'm guessing. D96 is an Cecil. You guys stop. Do not drink the developer. If you disagree, I thought it tastes great, tangy. Don't drink your Caffenol either. There's somebody, what's her name? Daggy, I believe. Help me. Daggy Brundart. Daggy Brundart, I believe. Look her up. She develops with all kinds of things, like tea leaves and all basil, all kinds of crazy things. Okay, I promise we're gonna get to syncing some film, or at least talking about it. Sync sound, so much fun. So I've done a lot of videos. I wonder how you guys stop. Hubert. I've been syncing a lot of sound to my films lately, and I'm having so much fun doing it. Back in the olden days, like the 70s and the 80s, way back, you could pick up a roll of film like this in Super 8. And what this is Super 8 sound film. You guys remember this, you know, and it had your picture right here, and on the bottom, your sound head would catch it right here. Nowadays, we use stuff like this, my favorite film, 50D. You notice that you can only capture the picture. There's no place for the sound head to record. And what I mean by the sound head, I guess, you know what, I can just use this one. One of my favorite Super 8 cameras, the 1014 XLS. You see there, kids? Oh, it's going to be hard to see. Yeah. See the sound head at the bottom, right there? You guys know what the sound head on a camera looks like. But modern film doesn't use that head anymore. So when you put a cartridge of modern film in, it just simply bypasses the sound head. So it the film cartridge doesn't reach the bottom. See here? The old school, if you wanted sound, you put in this long cart. Come on now, don't break anything. Ever-loving world of all that is holy is happening right now. Or maybe you wouldn't. Oh, there it goes. So that would fill the entire compartment. See down at the bottom? Now part of your film is inserted into the magnetic, excuse you, film head. Now what that would do simply is break a camera. What that would do is, as you were filming at 18 frames per second, 18 frames in front of your picture, right down here, was your sound being recorded at the same time. So when you put it in your projector after you got your film back from the lab, it was set up the same way. So you would have your gate here, and then 18 frames down here, you would have your audio, your little tape deck that would play the sound stripe on your film as you were watching the picture. Perfect sync sound. So it was easy to do back then. You could shoot anything you wanted. The sound wasn't stellar because you're recording on like a 1/128th width piece of magnetic tape. And what you may or may not know is it also came in 16 millimeter. Can you guys see that? You see that sort of brownish? That's a mag stripe also. This was used primarily for news gathering, but it also had the balance stripe on the perf side, and it had your mag stock on the non-perf side to record sound. Cameras like the Cinema Products CP16 had sound heads in them and all kinds of cool sound controls and volumes and levels, so you could record your audio, boom, right on your film. And there's Piper again. But sadly, we don't have that capability anymore, and myself and I know Travis, they're the alchemist. We've tried and tried, and I'm gonna go with probably the sound heads in these cameras are really rusty and crusty. You really should be cleaned, but I've not had a whole lot of luck recording audio on fresh 1980s and 90s, well, 1980s mainly, sound film stock, you know, that's striped up. Let me show you what I'm talking about really quickly. I know to most of you this is just, you know, whatever. You see there, you had the magnetic sound strip on the non-perf side. That's where you recorded your audio. Then you had a little balance strip. So when the film was all rolled up, it wasn't lopsided. Now you could also record with your projector on that balance strip if you wanted to, and a lot of people did. All right, let me get out of that. Yeah, a lot of people would use that balance stripe too. It was basically a second sound stripe or soundtrack if you wanted it to be. So they had it in 16. By the way, that's a nice little 200-foot daylight sphere. Sound capabilities. What am I missing here? I love orochrome, but I cross it. Hubert, you cross process it, I'm assuming, right? Yeah. Does it taste of flesh or not? You guys. What? Oh God, bleach. I make a mean Blix cocktail, Travis. Certain exposure. Just dropping by real quick to say thanks for your Bolex tips. Have a great. Thank you very much. Certain exposures. I appreciate you stopping in. Some old Soviet 8mm projectors have synchronization module, and I have no idea how to use it. Yes, they also had a system. I don't remember who made it. Synchronex, I believe, where you had the camera and you had the Synchronex recorder. I had one years ago. It was a tape deck, but they were connected via wire, and when you pulled the trigger on the camera to shoot your film, it would activate the recorder, and it would record your audio on the magnetic cassette tape. The problem with that was you had to use the projector and playback. Basically, you still always had to use that tape deck. So when you projected your film after it was processed, you also connected that tape deck into your projector, and as you watched your film, you would be hopefully in sync with the sync pulse capabilities. You would be in sync with your audio as well. So it was a neat system. It was a neat idea. Doesn't really fly too much today, but it was a pretty cool little system. Yes, Lawrence, they did. Everybody used. That's what the news did. That was VNF, video news film, and it was a very quick process. So some of them had it down to a science. You could go out and shoot, and within an hour you had your film back. It had audio on it, and they were showing it on TV. So yeah, it's great. There was a filmmaker, 80s I want to think, 80s or 90s. You guys should look him up. His name was John Jost, J-O-S-T, and he was known for, he would carry his CP16, which I have right up there, and he would have a mic plugged into the side of it, and he would shoot soundstripe film, and he would shoot movies on soundstripe film with his CP16. It was fun. Good old CP16. If you develop Super 8 film that has sound on it, and you develop it normally, it won't damage the audio strip. Renee, yes, you do develop it normal. I have a series, a found film series, Cameraman Mike's sound film box set. Every film in there, there's 20 something films, was shot in the 70s and so far, 70s and early 80s, and every one of them has a sound stripe. In fact, this may be one from his collection, and I do it all the same way, and I've never had an issue with the audio on that. Now, with that said, I have had issues with old found film and audio. I did 18 reels early on of this stuff in black and white chemicals 2 or 3 years ago when I first started this channel, and I got really very little of the audio even came out, and we found the owner of that film too, by the way. So most of the time the audio comes out pretty darn good, nice and crisp with this stuff. It's just when you shoot it now with the audio stripe that's been put on here, you know, 40, 45, 50 years ago, I just can't get it to come out right. And the CP16 was the most popular. Yes, it was. VNR film. VNF film, I know. Video news film, VNR, I guess. Was that the same, Lawrence? Hey, Russell. Thank you for popping in. We are film chatting about syncing sound. So what I do nowadays, now what I do, let me move some of this out of the way, some of the stuff that's not that important to me right now. Let's see what happens here. I can promise you that's going to be fun and exciting. Manny's not here, T.O. Manny, but he was here last time, a couple weeks ago. We skipped last week because of Mama's Day, but Manny has mentioned, yes, I'm going off again really quick, defogger for film, because I try and process a lot of Kodachrome, and he mentioned, let me try to say it, benzotriazole. Benzotriazole. So I picked some up right here. You guys read that? Probably not. I'll put a link to this though in the description, so if you're watching this after the fact. But this, it's sold by Photographer's Formulary. Everybody's heard of them. And this is 100 grams? Yeah. You're supposed to mix this, make a solution out of this, and then use that solution in your developer to really reduce the fogging in our not-so-fresh film. Not-so-fresh film. We all suffer from not-so-fresh film. So I'm going to give this a shot. Manny did a really good video on this on his channel over at T.O. Manny's World. Check it out. Look for the results of this sometime in the next 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. Okay, that's enough of that. That's enough of you. That's enough of you. Get a swig of water. I have some 16mm Eastman Ektachrome Video News Film, 7240. Yes, I have developed 7240, Russell. I don't know if I've done 7250. I've done 7252 in black and white. 7240 I did in ECN2, and it came out pretty good, to be honest. I like 7240. I did some 7240 Super 8 found film in ECN2. VNF film will process in ECN2, and I believe you can also process it in, I haven't done it in E6, I don't think, but I'm going to try. I love shooting 50 years old color positive. I can count, yeah. Every grain, and it does get grainy. So how about nowadays? Well, I can tell you, I was going to put out a video not that long ago for syncing sound using I've done it using various cameras. Non-crystal cameras. Say it with me. Non-crystal cameras, or I should say non-crystal motors. One of my favorite cameras to shoot with is this, though they're a little bit they're a little intimidating, mainly because every time you pick it up, you feel like you're moving buttons, but they're a little intimidating. I have 3 of these, and every one honestly shoots a little bit different. My Pinto theory, remember the Pinto? You can get 3 1971 Pintos from 3 different geographic locations throughout the world, and they're all going to run a little bit different, even though they're all exactly the same Pinto. You guys remember the Pinto? So this one, I shot a film with this, and I shot it all the way through, and I used my handy dandy trusty Tascam DR05X. You guys have seen this many times. In fact, the first year of my YouTube channel, I only used this to record all of my audio for my videos, and then I had to sync that audio. It's very easy to do when you're shooting digital and digital, but film and digital. But I used this, and I used my handy dandy trusty. I've used this for two and a half years now for my channel. My very handy dandy trusty, everything's handy and dandy, BY-M1 by Boya. Very inexpensive Boya. I'm not doing this for ads, I'm just showing you what I use. So this is just my lapel mic. It's wired, I get it. And I also have one, it's the same one, only this is the BY-M1 DM. It's the dual microphone. So this has the same one input, right? One input, 2 microphones. Because my daughter and I have done a couple of videos together. So we would each wear a mic so you could hear us equally. So I use this, and this right here to sync sound. So I wanted to put a video out and show how easy it was to sync sound by just cutting and stretching and doing all that. So I shot the video, and I slated the head and the tail. You know, I even upside downed it because I wanted to try to be cool. And when I cut the film right at the slate mark, the film, and then I cut the audio right at the spike on the head and the spike on the tail, and then I stretched the audio to match to the end, because it won't match perfectly when you're shooting film. I stretched it, and then everything was in perfect sync all the way, the entire 2.5 minutes. So I didn't end up showing the video because that kind of defeated the purpose of me wanting to show you how simple it was to sort of chop up the film or chop up the audio and stretch it here and there to make it fit. So this camera, oh, I mean, I got to tell you, it did so good, and it kept such a steady motor. I'm not going to say that it shot exactly 24 frames per second, but it shot really steady. So maybe it shot 23.86 frames per second, but it stayed that consistent all the way to the end. Again, I'm not going to tell you that every 1014 XLS you use is going to do that, but mine, I had no trouble matching up the audio with the film at all. So I didn't end up showing that. I might just post it one day just for fun, just the film itself. But one second, stay right there with that but. Mike, I need to buy some of that benzo stuff. Yeah, check that stuff out. I don't know, I've never used it, but I'm excited about getting rid of some of the fog on my old films. Amazing we discussed ECN2 and it worked. Great news. I love ECN2. I'll make my own. Hey, Katie. I'm a bit late to the party again. Cool t-shirt. Thank you. My wife got this for me for Father's Day. Or, I take that back. One of my daughters did. Huh? Don't be negative. Hello, everyone. Hey, we have another mic. Hello, Mike. Yeah, non-sound film cameras still show their qualities nowadays with digital sound. Yes. Yes. Now, I did another video just a couple months ago. I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago. I'm going to tell you all about it right now. Where I tried to sync some sound. Oh, I did sync some sound with a camera that was sent to me by my buddy Jake, which, if you're watching Jake before or after, I promise you I'm going to package it up and get it out to you soon. But I did shoot with this. We all know what this is. This is just painter's tape. It's painter's tape with a little bit of that closed cell foam, just so I can block the window. We all know about these. These are great little Super 8 cameras, and they're wind up. So probably some of the most reliable cameras are wind up cameras. But with the motors, I would say maybe some of the most unreliable as far as constant speed. I love this camera because it has such a nice range of shooting speeds. And I shoot it at 24 frames per second usually. But I decided to try my luck at syncing sound to a wind-up camera. If you didn't see that video, I urge you to check it out right now. Right as soon as you hit the thumbs up button right now, since you're here. So, what I want to show you is this. Film equals antiquated, unexposed celluloid or AUC. You're right. Yeah, didn't this rush all man beauty sync up pretty well with sound? You know, I'm glad you brought that up, Mike, because I want to show you guys something really quick. Take a peek at, okay, this is the timeline. If you're curious about how to sync sound from funky cameras that are definitely not going to be in sync like the 1014 XLS here was, but if you're curious how I do it anyway, take a peek at that video, the Zenith Quartz, and here is the timeline that I used for that particular film. I'm going to show you this film in a second too. I ended up stabilizing it and doing a couple things. But I do want to show you this film. It's only a couple minutes long. If you've seen it, then you know what, you can go get a coffee and relax. But you can see, if you look at the bottom, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 bits of audio, separate bits of audio, and then above it, a whole bunch of chopped up film. Now the reason I chopped up the film this time instead of the audio was because the film was running at such funky speeds. So it was sort of fluctuating up and down and back and forth. So I decided to cut the film this time instead of the audio. I'd rather have a normal sounding voice and move a little slower or quicker. Excuse me. So that's what I did there. You can see each section is somewhere between 22 and 25 seconds long, which equates to about 2.5 minutes of film. Let me get out of that and get back to that. Now, I want to show you just how simple. Did this Russian? The camera's amazing for setting all the ISO speeds yourself. It really is. There's nothing really that I don't like about this camera. Nothing. You can even take this lens off, by the way. It's not really an interchangeable lens so much, but you can take that lens off and clean and whatnot in there. But it's so manual, it's crazy, crazy. See, it has auto or manual exposures right here, and it also has plus or minus. So if you want to leave it on auto, but you want to overexpose by a stop or two, use this button. I don't know. I did a whole review on this camera. I'm not going to go over too much of that right now, but I don't think it is a C-mount screw, Mike. It's not. Or maybe, okay, I take that back. I'm not saying it's not. But I did take the lens off. And, okay, so yeah, I'm not saying you're not right, because usually you're right. But it's the recess in it. It's so shallow, you couldn't put anything else in there. Are you guys able to see that, how shallow that recess is? I mean, it's about 3 or 4 threads deep, and then you hit the lens. There is a little lens inside the camera as well. So I'm not sure what lens you could put in there. If you remove the little fixed focus lens inside the mount, you can... Ooh! Okay. Is that screwed in there? Are those tiny little screws? I've never messed with trying to remove that. And I have one. This is my good one, but I have another one that runs, but it's a little more beat up, so I might try that. I don't know. I might give it away. Maybe I'll give it away. I do want to give a couple things away at some point. Maybe when I hit 5,000 subscribers, I'll give a bunch of stuff away. Some folks did that already. They took that mount off. Now you really have me perplexed. So we're gonna try that. But anyway, I want to show you the film real quick. If, like I said, if you've already seen it, I'm sorry. It's only 2.5 minutes long. So let's you guys tell me what you think. I don't know if it's gonna start automatically. Hopefully it doesn't. But check this film out. Ready? On your mark, get set, go.
Hey guys, I'm Mike, and I want to thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. This is just a quick throw together, kind of a complete breakdown and a how-to video of a very important topic I want to talk about. Which reminds me, I forgot my notebook, and that's got everything I need to talk about in it. So I'll be right back. Give me 1 second. All right, guys, got my notebook. Sorry about that goofy little interruption. Hey, these things happen. This is, but this notebook holds everything that I want to talk about. Everything in this really important video. And I just realized I don't do videos without coffee. And I forgot my coffee. Give me a second. I'll be right back. All right, guys. Sorry. Got my coffee. You know what? I apologize for those interruptions, but I can't do a video without my coffee. But now I got my notebook right here. I have my coffee. I mean, we're ready to talk about this. And this is going to be a complete breakdown on stop eating that. It's the dog, always eating out of the yard. Okay. Sorry, I can't let her eat. She's been eating so much stuff and junk and everything out of the yard that she's, gets sick. But we're good now. She's not going to eat anymore out of the yard. Got the dog, coffee, notebook, no more interruptions, I promise. Let's get back to the subject. Who's call? I got to take this call. I'll be right back. Okay. Sorry. I had to take that call, guys. I'm so sorry. All right, that's enough. Enough about that. Coffee, notebook. We got all the info. Got the dog. No more food. I turned the phone off. We're good to go. Let's get back in to what we need to start discussing and seriously talk about. Dinner's ready now? Right now? Okay.
There, how's that? Is that better? Sorry, guys. Okay, so what I was saying, I muted it earlier. What you guys don't know is when that film was going, I ran in the kitchen and I heated up my coffee, so I muted it. Woo, times 3. Anyway, yeah, what I was saying, what you missed when I muted myself, which my wife likes, was my wife was helping me with that film. We went outside and I quickly, she would start the camera. I would slate it very quick, throw it on the ground. I would go through my scene real quick, that dumb, goofy scene. I would slate it after 20 or 25 seconds. She would shut the camera off and we'd set up another dumb scene really quick. And then boom. Like I say, if you, that was quick. And it was close. It was very, very close. The sync isn't absolutely perfect. If you really, really look, no more interruptions. Sorry, Mike. Silent movies. You guys. I'm such a rookie when it comes to live streaming. So yeah, we if you hacked up the film even more, there was probably 4 or 5 cuts in that film per segment, per 20 to 25 second segment. Audio was all there, and then I would just cut. If you double cut it, and you cut it 7 or 8 times instead of 4 or 5, it's going to sync even a little better. So it's really how much time you want to spend on it. I think I spent maybe a half an hour to an hour tops on an entire cartridge of film. I don't remember what stock that was. It was probably 50D. It was either 50D or I don't remember. It would be amazing for everything. Yes, it would. You are silent now. Silence! Silence! Convenient cut. Yes, it was. Looks pretty fair. Picture stretched a bit. Yes, picture was stretched. Sometimes it was stretched, and sometimes it was compressed a little bit because it just depended on how the motor was reacting at the time. Okay, let me get down here. Okay, there's everybody telling me my sound is terrible. I got you. Yes, I forgot to click. See, I can do this. Check this out. Like, hey guys. Yeah, see, cut it in and out. MN Ragnar. Hey, buddy. Looks like it worked. Turn your mic. All right, let me get past that. I get it. Yay. I know. Rookie. Hey, Dave. I used to have to edit like that with VHS imports to DVD, Adobe Premiere 6.0 days. My computer would lose sync. Dave, don't get me started on VHS to VHS edits. See, I went to film school. You guys may not know this, but I went to a very small junior college in Daytona Beach, Florida. In 1990 and 1991, and I think a little bit of 92, but for filmmaking and we used film. We used Super 8 mainly, and we had like nice fancy editors. But essentially, what we used, you had 2 VHS players. I think maybe we had 3/4 decks or something. But what did that translate to for me when I wasn't sitting in school? It was me with 2 normal VHS decks and a cheapo. Remember the thumbs up editor, Dave? You might remember it. Had a big thumbs up. You would push this big button when that was the right cut or something. So I had that, and if you were lucky, you had a little jog shuttle. But anyway, it was a nightmare. That was called linear editing. Now we have non-linear editors. So yeah, that was you remember that, Dave. That was the nightmare days of editing. 24 runs for 20 seconds, non-stop or so. You can actually do pretty low. You can, Mike. In fact, I did with this one and every other sync sound video that I've done and posted. I did the whole entire cart. I would just sit there and talk like an idiot for the whole cartridge, and then work it that way, and it actually did pretty good. Yeah. Oh yeah, you know why you need a VHS stick with bass correction. Bass correction ×3, a time-based code. Sadly, off to mess up the audio. It was nightmarish trying to do. I did a commercial for one of our local nightclubs in '92, I think, or '91, when I was in school. I still have it around somewhere. I should show you guys one of these days. There's a nightclub called Razzles, and it's still around to this day. It's still very popular. But we used 2 decks. I shot it on Super VHS, and we used 2 edit decks, VHS decks, to edit it in school. School movies. Stop, Travis. We won't go there. I don't have any film school movies, as far as you know. Yes, you did. Yeah, did you still keep the actual film? What actual film? You mean from film school? I have very little from back then. I do have some Super 8 films that I shot back in the 90s, late 80s, early 90s that we won't probably get into yet. We all wanted that video toaster. That was the Amiga. Remember the Amiga computer with the video toaster? That was amazing. Had the big, like Pac-Man looking buttons, the icons, and you'd scroll with the big pointer. It was a beta tester for the toast. Nice, Mike. I was a friend with the New Tech guys. See, you had connections. How long could you go before it lost sync? You know, Jeffrey, like I was saying earlier, I shot one whole cart. I think it was 50D, I don't remember. One whole cart in this, in one of these. I have 3 of these, and I don't remember which one it was, but I shot it, and then all I had to do, I stretched the audio to match the 2.5 minutes. I literally just stretched from spike to spike, and it was in perfect sync for the entire 2.5 minutes. So I didn't have to do any cuts with that. I didn't show that one on my channel, but I might one day. I didn't show it because I didn't have to do any work, which is kind of nice. Now I'm not going to guarantee you that all of these cameras are going to do that, but that one did. Editing a post-production house many years ago. Linear editing on tape is difficult. It is very fascinating. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. I mean, I look back on the days of editing and sitting in a little school edit bays, you know, with all the dials and the buttons. It was just fun. I mean, now you just get carpal tunnel from using the mouse, and you know. Digibeta, Betacam, yeah, all of those formats. They bring back so many fond memories. Dave, are there any new updates with this film festival you're planning? You know, I've been slacking a little bit on it. I got an email from a subscriber a couple days ago asking the same thing, if there was any updates. Not anything, Dave, other than the deadline. I think you may have seen it, but the deadline of October 1st of this year, the theme, which is horror or sci-fi fantasy, 5-minute maximum, and it has to be narrative of some sort, docu, I guess, but not really anything. I really need to get back on that, but I am 100% committed to it, so we will have it. I started working on a website a little bit on filmboy24.com, which is kind of what I'm thinking now, where I may try to host the competition, the fun petition. My video came, it was built around me. My video came MPSNY. I'm not sure what that means, Mike. Razzles. In the modern era, you will never find a yeah. Dick Van Dyke used the video toaster. It was still huge in the video. I loved the toaster. There was a local camera store where I live called Beach Photo on Main Street. If you guys follow Bike Week at all, our main drag for Bike Week is on Main Street in Daytona Beach, Florida. But there was a store, a photo store. It mainly dealt with processing pictures and film and stuff like that. But there was a guy that worked in their digital room where he did all the transfers, and he used those go-go projectors, those transfer projectors. Nice, you know, but they were just telecines. But it was so much fun hanging out in that digital. He did, like, everything was film back there. Everything in that, they're not around anymore, but everything in that room, they used those digital toasters. They used Quark. Remember that program, Quark Press? They used Photoshop. They used all the big modern softwares, and I can't forget the go-go projectors that they use, where you stuck the video camera right there. But it was like a step above those boxes that you use that just basically, you know, you shoot your projector in and it hits that 45-degree angle mirror or 90-degree mirror. Carpal tunnel is the downside of evolution in video editing. Yeah, you're not kidding. Do I ride a motorcycle? Cecil, I did. Not anything cool like you, but my filmmaking partner and I, back in the day, I had a bike for about 7 years. It was just a little, I loved it. It was a little Honda Ace. It was a little Honda Shadow Ace. It was pretty decked out, saddlebags and all that, you know, and we had a lot of fun. It was only a 750, but man, it was fun. I didn't ride it during Bike Week. I worked a lot of Bike Weeks down there, but I didn't ride during Bike Week. It was crazy down there. I've been down there quite a few times but I didn't ride. Forward to the fest. I need to formulate a suitable, sketchy horror. Yes, Russell, get on it. I had a video company for years before building TV stations. Settle down, Mike. Yeah, I had some video. We had a lot of video work we did back in the 90s. Anyway, so what am I missing? Let me tell you what the biggest headache is. So anytime you guys look at the forums or look at, bulletin boards and people are asking the question, is it difficult to sync sound? It takes patience. So you'll get a lot of these online and internet experts in film and in digital and video and whatnot that will tell you, no, it's impossible. You got to get the sync sound cameras. Don't listen to them. You don't have to, I promise you. It's not difficult to sync sound to any. I'm going to try to do it with that 16 frame per second, 16 millimeter camera I was showing you guys earlier. I doubt I'll be able to, but I don't doubt I'll be able to. I think I will. But let me tell you what the hardest part about doing it would be for me, or is for me, when it comes to a narrative setting. It's the noise level of the cameras. If you're not using a CP16 or an Arri BL or something like that that's blimped, that's meant for sync work or for close quarters work, then you're going to have to deal with noise. And you got to figure out how you're going to deal with the noise. You can go old school, grunge style and just throw tons of towels and blankets over it with only the front of the lens exposed. That could be an option. But if you can't figure out how to deal with the noise, be it maybe lapel mic or something like this, which we've used on a couple of films. Can you see that? A nice boom microphone. This particular example is the Rode NTG2, I believe, with my 12-foot microfiber boom pole. We've had that for a few years now. Don't move. So if you can't figure out how to deal with camera noise, especially if you're doing an inside scene or a talking scene where you're indoors, outdoors you can usually get away with a little bit of, it's a little easier sometimes, but man, gotta deal with the noise. What do we got? I just forgot. I am looking forward to the film fest. I have a location scout. Hired my cast and crew, looking for my prop master and boom operator. Here you go. I'm your guy. And rolling, sound speed. Is that a microphone or you just, never mind. Well, I hope to see most of you guys in this little fest. This is going to be so much fun. Thinking sound is always manual labor, but that's part of the fun. It is absolutely part of the fun, and it's all manual labor. If in doubt, just dub the scene. We've done plenty of that as well, and you're right. With that, what did I miss? Yeah, I've already covered most of all this. Just talking about the battery voltages in these cameras. Sometimes the cameras aren't made to adjust accordingly as the voltage in the batteries kind of start dying down. So the motors may start dying down a little bit. Most cameras compensate for that, and when a battery dies, they just stop. And they won't wind down. In other words, the camera motor, the drive motor, doesn't eventually start winding down over the course of the couple of weeks that the batteries start dying. Hopefully they don't anyway. But the battery voltage is going to change constantly. So crystal motors deal with that. Non-crystal motors don't deal with that. But we can deal with that with a little bit of patience and a whole lot of manual labor. Let's see, number two, but yes. Thank you, Cecil. And by the way, you can use don't use 16 millimeter. You can use 8 millimeter or Super 8. And your film must include, I'm going to do a one sheet, I promise you. In the next couple of weeks, I'll have a paper somewhere. Or not paper, but you know what I mean. Must include number two, they don't have to be number 2, but 2 yellow pencils in the same scene somewhere. Oh, that almost got ugly. Could be like this, like I'm writing. Could be used as a dagger. Could be used just be sitting on the table. That way, there's no cheaters. I know you people. There's no cheaters. But this way we know you did do this film for this little fest. That was kind of half Dave's idea too, not Top. He emailed me and said maybe maybe think about something, a theme or something like that. And he's right. I would like it to be. I do want this to be. It's a free festival, but I would like it to be for this particular festival. So don't dig up an old 5-minute film you shot 8 years ago. Guys, listen. It is. We're about 8 minutes over, so we're gonna wrap this up. I think I touched on a little bit of everything, and I know I was probably all over the place, but I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to next Sunday. I will probably be posting a new video by Thursday of this coming week, hopefully. I'm really going to try that. If you joined late, I'm really going to try this. I'm trying to get this shot, this tiny little magazine, 16 millimeter, weird magazine that I know most of you, excuse you, have never seen, myself included, until recently. So we're gonna, maybe that might be the next, I'm trying to get that done, but thank you, Mike. I'm looking forward to seeing all of you on the next stream, which might be the next, uh-oh, she got arrested. What happened? Oh boy.
I just got arrested.
Oh, great. No, those are hers. Those are not ours. There's no fur on them. What else are you going to bring in here? You want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Just 16 millimeter cassettes for the Krasny Ghost. Yeah, those things are really weird.
See you on the next go round.
Smash that like button. Thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you guys. Have you ever had to loop a film? Ooh, second that. Thanks again, Mike. Thanks, Russell. Thanks for your time and passion. Thank you guys so much. I'm not sure what you mean, loop a film. We just keep it going, Lawrence. Steven. See you, buddy. Goodbye until next week. Cecil, I will see you next week. Be here. All right, guys. Piper and I will see you the very next time that we see you. Love you all. Next one. Bye, Katie. Audio loop. Oh, audio loop. No, I don't think I have. Replace the dialogue. Oh, yeah. No, yes, I have. I have had to do that.
See you on the next
All right.
go round.
We got to go for real this time. Peace.